The bustling New York streets are a million miles away from the South African savannah, but this is the backdrop for another dog's astonishing abilities. This is Blessing Offor, blind since the age of 5. He's been trying to make it in the big city of New York under the watchful eye of Tommy, the guide dog he's had since he was a teenager.
Tommy has had a very positive, wonderful impact on my life. I can't say enough.
The extraordinary instincts of Tommy have enabled Blessing to pursue his life dream of being a professional musician in one of the most crowded cities in the world.
I moved to New York about 6 months ago. Before I moved to New York, I lived in Nashville, and Nashville is a wonderful town, but New York has more of the music business that I need.
Oh, if you should go, certainly I would certainly cry. I miss you so. If you should leave, certainly I would certainly weep. I miss you so. Don't you know what you are to me? My sun, my moon, you are my galaxy.
Without Tommy, I think traveling around New York would have been more halted and more, stop and go, and not so fast and not so fluid and not so enjoyable. I would have dealt with New York by using a cane, which is a terrifying prospect. I much prefer the dog.
Tommy is a Guiding Eyes for the Blind certified guide dog.
Tommy has made it really easy to access the public transportation, subways and turnstiles and subway stations, and getting on and off transportation, avoiding falling into train tracks and all this kind of stuff. He's very useful in that regard.
To help people like Blessing, a New York-based organization, Guiding Eyes for the Blind, provides superior guide dogs such as Tommy.
Graham, go ahead.
Catherine Zabriskie has been working and training dogs here for the last 22 years.
The majority of our dogs at Guiding Eyes will be Labrador Retrievers, and we find them that they're very adaptable to this type of work and actually the stress and the demands of guide work.
In order to determine if a pup has the natural instinct to become a successful guide dog, Guiding Eyes for the Blind is one of the few schools in the world that evaluates the temperament of 4-week-old puppies. And for now, it's all about play.
Brilliant! You're absolute genius. You gave up your toy for me. I love that. Yes, I do.
The attributes that we look for in a puppy are very similar to what we look for in an adult dog. A puppy that is willing to be with people, wants to be with people, friendly, social, confident.
Oh, very nice staying with me. The movement didn't bother you?
Each year, approximately half of the 500 puppies bred will become working guide dogs like Tommy. After leaving their puppy raisers, dogs are assigned to a guide dog instructor.
Our training starts in very quiet, much quieter areas, very quiet areas, very positive type of work. And as the dog begins to progress in his work, then we will move the dog to busier areas, asking more of the dog, expecting more of the dog. Our work is very positive. We use a lot of positive reinforcement. We use a lot of food in our training, so that it becomes kind of a game for the dog, and a fun game.
It might be fun for the dog, but the skills they are learning require a high degree of intelligence.
We teach dogs how to avoid certain obstacles that might be in their way. And so it's really important that the dog begins to learn that they have to not only navigate themselves through obstacles, but they have to make sure that there's enough room for themselves and the person.
All guide dogs need to retain their natural instinct, something that can be determined, oddly, by the characteristic of occasionally ignoring their owner's command. Although this behavior could be viewed as a negative trait, it is these instinctual actions that are necessary and even encouraged in guiding dogs. This instinct is called intelligent disobedience. Intelligent disobedience is what a dog does when he or she realizes that the command given could be dangerous to both dog and handler. The dog then disobeys out of common sense rather than disobedience. It is one of the most important safety skills for any guide dog. The busy streets of New York City are especially challenging for us humans, never mind a dog.
On the rare instance that I make a wrong decision about crossing the street, Tommy has training where if I told him to go forward, but there was a car or anything coming that I hadn't taken note of, he actually wouldn't go forward. So he knows enough to not get us hit by things.
But Tommy can ignore the distractions of the city and focus solely on his job because of something called docosahexaenoic acid, or DHA.
Docosahexaenoic acid is a polyunsaturated fatty acid that's absolutely necessary for good neuronal development, for good brain tissue development. And in fact, if puppies don't have that, they don't make tight neuronal connections, they don't grow enough of the brain tissue necessary to make the connections, and they become more reactive and less attentive. Well, a more reactive and less attentive dog can't learn. We absolutely know DHA is essential for retinal development.
For Blessing, Tommy's ability has provided a freedom that he lacked before.
Tommy's helped me throughout this whole process by, along with the guiding he does, his particular brand of cuteness gets me into places I don't think I would otherwise be allowed into.
Just kind of go that way? Okay.
Tommy made me moving to New York more feasible, I think, because obviously travel wouldn't be a big deal with a dog as smart as he is.